Imagine this. You're sitting at home, maybe paying bills online, maybe just scrolling through your phone, when suddenly a simple notification pops up. It looks like it's from your bank. It feels routine, safe. But what you don't know is that this single touch, this single click, could cost you everything. Seniors across America are being targeted by a sophisticated new debit card scam. It's dangerous. It's costing people their life savings. And here's the harsh truth: no one is truly safe. Every year, scammers adapt. They learn new ways to deceive, to trick, to exploit the smallest mistake. And this time, the focus is on older Americans, retirees who worked hard for decades, saved every dollar carefully, only to be one wrong tap away from losing it all. Lawyer warns seniors, this scam is spreading faster than ever, and once your money's gone, it's nearly impossible to get it back. Those aren't scare tactics. They're real warnings, backed by devastating numbers. In just the last year, tens of thousands of older Americans have lost millions of dollars to digital debit card fraud schemes. These aren't small losses. Some have seen entire accounts wiped out in seconds. What makes it so frightening isn't just the money, it's how easily it happens. Seniors believe they're taking a normal action, confirming a charge, answering a text, verifying an account. But every step is a trap, carefully designed. That's why it's dangerous. That's why this scam feels impossible to escape once it begins. And when you realize how quickly it spreads, you understand why experts are calling it an epidemic. Think about it. Your debit card is connected directly to your bank account. There's no buffer, no safety net like a credit card. Once the money leaves, it's gone. Scammers know this. That's why they're targeting seniors with debit-based tricks, because it's faster, harder to trace, and more devastating. It's not just about money. It's about trust. It's about security. It's about older Americans who suddenly feel vulnerable in their own homes. Imagine checking your account balance and seeing zeros where your savings used to be. Imagine explaining to your spouse or your children that everything you worked for, your retirement, your safety, has vanished in an instant. This scam is spreading because it feels real. Messages come through looking like they're from trusted institutions. Emails look polished. Caller IDs are spoofed. Even the most cautious people can be caught off guard. That's why it's so dangerous. That's why no one is truly safe. Right now, as you listen, there are seniors across the country answering phone calls, clicking links, and unknowingly giving criminals direct access to their money. And once they do, it's too late. That's the chilling part. All it takes is one moment of trust, 1 second of hesitation, one single touch of the screen. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how this scam works, what tricks the scammers use, and most importantly, how you or someone you love can avoid becoming the next victim. But before we get there, remember this: the threat is real, the numbers are growing, and the danger is closer than most people think. No one is immune, not your parents, not your grandparents, not even you. That's why this message matters. Because if we don't talk about it, more seniors will lose everything they worked their entire lives to build. And the sad truth is, in many cases, they never recover. So let's break this down. Let's expose how the scam unfolds, step by step. Because awareness, right now, is the only real defense. The scam starts in a way that feels harmless, almost ordinary. A senior receives a phone call, a text message, or even a small notification that seems to come directly from their bank or debit card company. The message might say something urgent like, "Your debit card has been locked for security reasons. Tap here to verify your identity." For someone who depends on their debit card for groceries, bills, and everyday living, this kind of alert feels terrifying. The first instinct is to act quickly, to solve the problem before it gets worse. And that's exactly what the scammers count on. Step 1, the contact. Scammers reach out in different ways. Sometimes it's a text message with a link. Sometimes it's a phone call from what looks like a real bank number. They use tools that make the caller ID show Bank of America or Chase to lower suspicion. For an older adult who may not be as familiar with these tricks, it feels real. They pick up the phone or click the link because the danger feels immediate. Step 2, the hook. Once they have your attention, scammers use urgency and fear to take control. A typical line might be, "There has been suspicious activity on your debit card, and we need to verify your information to prevent further charges." Notice the psychology. They are pretending to protect you, when in reality, they are about to rob you. The scammer might ask you to press a button, enter your card number, or provide a one-time code sent to your phone. Each of these steps feels routine, something a bank might actually do. Seniors who have dealt with customer service before believe they are simply cooperating. Step 3, the trap. Here's where it gets dangerous. By entering personal details, whether it's the debit card number, expiration date, or that 6-digit code, the victim is unknowingly handing over the keys to their entire bank account. In some cases, scammers even install a fake verification app or guide the victim to download security software that actually gives the scammer remote access to their phone. Imagine someone being able to see every tap you make on your screen, every password you type. Within seconds, your account is wide open. Step 4, the withdrawal. Once the scammer has access, they move fast. They transfer money out of the account, sometimes in small amounts so it doesn't trigger alarms, sometimes in one large withdrawal that clears out everything. Victims often don't notice until they check their balance or try to make a purchase. By then, the money is gone and it's often too late to recover. The brilliance and the cruelty of this scam lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require hacking into bank systems or breaking into vaults. All it takes is a few words of fear, a believable caller ID, and a vulnerable moment when someone is worried about their money. Seniors are especially at risk because they grew up in a time when phone calls and official-looking messages were trusted. For them, the idea that someone could fake a bank's phone number feels unthinkable. Even worse, scammers have learned to personalize their attacks. They may mention the victim's city, recent transactions, or even family members' names, details that can be pulled from leaked data online. Imagine being a 75-year-old grandfather and hearing, "We noticed suspicious charges near your local pharmacy, Mr. Johnson. Did you approve this?" The level of detail makes it sound real, and fear takes over logic. One of the most dangerous variations is what experts call the one-touch scam. A text message arrives, "Tap here to secure your account." The victim touches the link without thinking, and just like that, malware is installed or credentials are stolen. It feels like nothing happened, but in the background, the scammer now has control. This is why lawyers and cybersecurity experts keep repeating, one careless tap can cost you everything. Scammers also exploit politeness and trust. Seniors, especially those raised with strong values of respect, often feel uncomfortable hanging up on someone who claims to be a bank representative. They don't want to appear rude. Scammers drag out the conversation, keeping the victim on the line until they give in. And because many older adults live alone, there isn't always someone nearby to question the situation or step in. The emotional manipulation is just as strong as the technical trickery. Scammers know exactly what words trigger panic. Locked account, fraud alert, suspicious charge. Those phrases bypass critical thinking and push people into reaction mode. By the time the victim realizes something feels off, it's too late. To make matters worse, some seniors blame themselves afterward. They think, "I should have known better," or "How could I be so stupid?" But the truth is, these scams are designed to fool intelligent people. Even tech-savvy adults in their 30s and 40s have fallen for them. No one is truly safe. That's why experts emphasize, don't trust urgency, don't trust caller ID, and never give out codes or personal details when pressured. This scam is not a random, once-in-a-while crime. It is organized, calculated, and spreading rapidly. Tens of thousands of seniors in America have already been targeted, and millions of dollars have been stolen in just the last year. Every step is scripted, rehearsed, and designed to separate older Americans from the savings they work their whole lives to build. In recent months, several American seniors have come forward to share their stories, each of them illustrating just how quickly a moment of trust can turn into financial devastation. These accounts, reported by local media and law enforcement, show that the scam is not hypothetical. It is happening every single day. Take the case of Mary H., a 72-year-old retiree from Texas. Mary recalls receiving a text message that looked exactly like it came from her bank. It said there was unusual activity on my debit card and asked me to confirm with one simple tap, she explained. Believing she was protecting her account, she pressed the link. Within minutes, her entire checking balance, over $14,000, which she had saved for medical expenses, was drained. "I never thought I could be tricked like this," Mary said. "I've had the same bank for decades. The message looked real." Investigators later confirmed the text came from a spoofed number and was part of a coordinated scam targeting older Americans in the region. Another example comes from John R., a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran in Florida. John described receiving a call, supposedly from his credit union, warning of a possible fraudulent charge. "They told me they needed to verify my card right away, or my account would be frozen," John said. The caller asked him to press a series of buttons on his phone, which unknowingly gave the scammers remote access. By the time John realized what had happened, more than $7,500 was gone. "It felt like a violation," he admitted. "I served my country, I raised my family, and now in retirement I'm fighting people I can't even see." His story was later documented by the State Attorney General's office as part of a broader public alert. Then there's Eleanor Kay, an 80-year-old widow from Ohio. Eleanor had lived carefully on a fixed income since her husband's passing, but one evening she answered what looked like a routine fraud alert. The voice on the phone was calm, professional, even reassuring, she recalled. "They told me someone was trying to use my card in another state and they just needed me to verify my PIN." Trusting the caller, Eleanor gave the information. Within hours, nearly all of her monthly pension was stolen. "It wasn't just about the money," she told reporters. "It made me feel foolish, ashamed, like I couldn't even protect myself anymore." Family members say she became withdrawn and anxious, fearful of answering the phone. These cases, while heartbreaking, are not isolated. According to the Federal Trade Commission, tens of thousands of seniors across the U.S. have fallen victim to similar debit card and phone-based scams, with reported losses totaling hundreds of millions of dollars in the past year alone. Experts note that the emotional consequences often outweigh even the financial harm. Victims describe feelings of betrayal, embarrassment, and deep anxiety. Some hesitate to report the crime, worried that loved ones will think they are no longer capable of managing their affairs. Law enforcement and consumer advocates emphasize that these scams are carefully designed to exploit human trust. The messages appear urgent, the voices sound authoritative, and the technology used, spoofed numbers, cloned websites, looks convincingly authentic. As attorney Michael Oswald warned in a recent statement, "No one is immune. These criminals are sophisticated and they prey on seniors precisely because they know many older adults value stability and trust. All it takes is one moment of uncertainty, one click, and years of savings can vanish." These real-life stories serve as sobering reminders. The threat is not distant. It is already here, and anyone with a debit card and a phone could become the next target. Scams of this type are not isolated to a few unlucky seniors. They represent a growing trend nationwide. According to a 2024 report from the Federal Trade Commission, more than 88,000 Americans over the age of 60 reported financial losses due to imposter and tech support scams last year alone. Collectively, those losses exceeded $1.6 billion, with debit and credit card fraud ranking among the most common complaints. Experts emphasize that these figures likely represent only a fraction of the true scale, as many older victims feel embarrassed or reluctant to come forward. In one particularly alarming case documented in Arizona, scammers deployed a strategy known as card testing. Seniors would receive a small, seemingly insignificant charge, sometimes for just $1 or $2 on their debit cards. Believing it to be a mistake or a minor glitch, many ignored it. But once the fraudsters confirmed the card was active, larger withdrawals followed within hours, draining thousands from unsuspecting accounts. Law enforcement officials say this tactic is designed to slip under the radar, taking advantage of the fact that older cardholders often do not check their accounts daily. Financial institutions have acknowledged the seriousness of this trend. In a 2024 statement, the American Bankers Association highlighted that while banks and credit unions have advanced fraud detection systems, no system can catch every fraudulent transaction in time. Scammers continuously refine their methods, often working in international rings that make it difficult for authorities to trace or recover lost funds. The technology is sophisticated, but the human factor is where they strike. said cybersecurity analyst Daniel Rhodes. All it takes is one click on a malicious link or one moment of distraction. Beyond the immediate financial loss, the emotional aftermath can be devastating. Social workers and senior advocacy programs report a sharp rise in anxiety, loss of trust, and even depression among victims. Many older adults pride themselves on financial independence, and the shock of realizing they've been deceived can undermine their confidence in managing money. Some begin avoiding technology altogether, fearing a repeat incident. Yet in today's world, where banking and communication are increasingly digital, withdrawal is not a sustainable solution. Family members are often drawn into the crisis as well. Adult children may need to step in, close accounts, or provide temporary financial support. In some cases, family trust is shaken, with seniors feeling guilty for being a burden or ashamed for not recognizing the scam sooner. It's not just about the money, explained senior law attorney Karen Oswald in a recent interview. It's about dignity, security, and the sense that no one is immune to being targeted. Experts urge that these stories serve as a wake-up call. The key takeaway is not that seniors are careless or incapable, but that fraudsters are relentless and highly strategic. They deliberately target groups perceived as more trusting, more polite, and less familiar with fast-changing digital threats. And the reality is stark. No one is completely safe. Whether through a phone call, a text message, or a fake website, the entry point can be as simple as a single tap. For every Mary in Texas or Robert in Ohio, there are thousands of others quietly facing the same experience. Each story underscores the urgency of raising awareness, sharing warnings, and reinforcing safe habits. While law enforcement and banks continue to develop countermeasures, the most powerful line of defense remains knowledge, making sure seniors and their families understand the risks before the damage occurs. For many older Americans, the loss from a single debit card scam can ripple far beyond the bank account. Financially, the most obvious consequence is the sudden disappearance of savings that may have taken decades to build. A senior who loses $10,000 to a fraudulent transaction may find it impossible to recover that money, especially if they live on a fixed Social Security income. Unlike younger adults who can work extra hours or rebuild savings, retirees often cannot replace what is lost. The financial blow leaves them vulnerable to unpaid medical bills, late mortgage payments, and the daily stress of wondering if they will have enough left for groceries or prescriptions. But the damage does not stop with money. Emotional harm is often just as severe. Psychologists who work with fraud victims point out that seniors frequently feel ashamed even when they did nothing wrong. They may blame themselves for not recognizing the scam, and this shame can spiral into depression or withdrawal from family. One attorney interviewed in a recent AARP report noted, "I've had clients who were so embarrassed that they didn't even tell their adult children until months later." This silence allows the emotional wound to deepen and makes victims even more isolated at a time when they need support most. Families can also be deeply affected. Adult children often step in to cover bills or manage their parents' accounts after a scam, which creates new stress and sometimes conflict within the household. Siblings may disagree about who should take responsibility, or parents may resist losing financial independence. In some cases, scammers strike the same family more than once, exploiting confusion and desperation. These ripple effects show why the problem is not simply about losing money, it is about destabilizing entire family systems. Experts also warn about a second wave of danger: repeat targeting. Once a scammer successfully steals from a victim, the individual's contact information is often shared or sold on black market lists. That means the victim may receive additional phone calls, emails, or text messages from other criminals pretending to be banks, Medicare representatives, or even law enforcement. This creates a cycle of vulnerability. An older adult who already lost once may be emotionally fragile and more likely to fall again, especially if a scammer mentions the earlier theft to build credibility. Attorney and consumer advocate Mark Oswald emphasizes the broader social cost. When tens of thousands of seniors lose millions of dollars collectively, it erodes trust in the entire banking system, he explains. Even legitimate card declines at a grocery store can now feel like a potential scam. His warning underscores that the danger is not just about one bad actor, It is about undermining the confidence of an entire generation in the financial tools they depend on. The ultimate consequence is loss of security. For many Americans over 65, financial security is tied directly to peace of mind. When that sense of safety is shattered, the effects are visible in daily life. Refusing to shop online, avoiding phone calls from doctors' offices out of fear of scams, or even declining to use a debit card altogether. These behavioral changes limit independence, reduce convenience, and can make older adults feel like the world has become too dangerous to navigate. The warning is clear. If it can happen to one senior, it can happen to anyone. Lawyers, banks, and elder advocacy groups all stress the same point. No one is completely safe because scammers are constantly adapting their tactics. A moment of distraction at a checkout line or a brief phone call with someone claiming to be from the bank is all it takes. The urgent message for older adults is that vigilance must become a daily habit, not an occasional precaution. 1. Verify before you act. One of the most important steps seniors can take is to pause and verify any suspicious communication before acting. Scammers thrive on urgency, convincing victims that they must click a link, enter a PIN, or provide personal information immediately. But in reality, legitimate institutions, whether it's a bank, Medicare, or the IRS, never demand instant action through text or email. For example, if you receive a message saying your debit card has been frozen and you must click a link to restore access, take a step back. Instead of following the instructions, call your bank directly using the number on the back of your card. This simple step could save you from handing over sensitive information to a fraudster. Experts from the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, emphasize that taking a moment to verify is the most powerful weapon against scams. It shifts control back to you rather than letting fear or urgency dictate your actions. 2. Protect your personal information. Scammers are experts at extracting just enough information to exploit you. Something as simple as confirming your date of birth or zip code can be the final piece they need to access your account. Seniors should treat their personal details, social security numbers, debit card PINs, online banking logins, with the same care as cash. Never share these over the phone or via email unless you initiated the contact and are absolutely certain of who you're speaking with. For example, if someone claiming to be from your bank asks for your debit card PIN, that is a red flag. Banks do not request PINs in this way. AARP fraud specialists recommend developing a mental firewall, a habit of stopping yourself before disclosing any personal data, asking, why would they need this? Could this be a scam? The act of questioning helps you slow down and avoid giving scammers exactly what they're looking for. 3. Monitor your accounts regularly. Another crucial safeguard is staying vigilant with your financial accounts. Many scams are discovered only after money has been drained, and by then it's often too late to recover the full amount. Seniors should get into the habit of checking their bank statements weekly, if not daily, through secure online or mobile banking. This allows you to spot unusual activity, such as small test charges scammers often make before attempting a larger withdrawal. Banks usually provide tools such as transaction alerts by text or email. Signing up for these can give you near real-time warnings when something unusual happens. In one reported case, a senior noticed a 117 charge from an unfamiliar vendor. By reporting it immediately, she prevented the scammer from making a $4,000 withdrawal. Financial advisors stress that proactive monitoring is not paranoia, it's prevention. It ensures that you remain one step ahead of potential fraud attempts. 4. Strengthen your digital security. Many debit card scams are linked to weak digital habits, such as reusing passwords or failing to update security settings. Seniors should make use of tools that are now widely available: two-factor authentication, strong, unique passwords, and automatic software updates. For instance, enabling two-factor authentication on your online banking means that even if scammers steal your password, they cannot log in without a second form of verification, usually a code sent to your phone. Additionally, avoid using public Wi-Fi to access financial accounts, as scammers can intercept your data on unsecured networks. Cybersecurity experts recommend treating your smartphone like a wallet. Don't leave it open or vulnerable, and always keep it locked with a passcode. The effort may seem inconvenient, but the protection it provides far outweighs the risk of having your entire savings wiped out in seconds. 5. Rely on trusted support networks. Finally, seniors should remember they are not alone in facing these scams. Isolation often makes older adults more vulnerable as scammers exploit feelings of uncertainty or embarrassment. Building a trusted support network of family, friends, or community organizations can provide a safety net. If you receive a suspicious message, call your son, daughter, or a close friend to ask for their opinion. Sometimes just talking it through with someone else can reveal the red flags you might have overlooked. Additionally, organizations like the AARP Fraud Watch Network and the FTC provide hotlines and resources where you can verify suspicious activity. Lawyers who work with elder fraud cases consistently remind their clients, asking for help is not a weakness, it's protection. Sharing concerns quickly can prevent a single mistake from spiraling into financial disaster. In short, stay connected, speak up, and never be afraid to ask for a second opinion. Financial scams aimed at older Americans are not slowing down. They are accelerating, becoming sharper and harder to detect. The debit card decline scheme is not an isolated trick. It represents a larger, coordinated effort by organized criminals to exploit a community they see as vulnerable. Seniors who rely on debit cards for their daily purchases and who may not always question a phone call or text that appears urgent. The message is blunt. No one is entirely safe, and the stakes are far too high to ignore. The warning from consumer protection experts is clear. Losing money is only one part of the damage. Victims are left shaken, distrustful, and often isolated. The ripple effects spread to families, caregivers, and entire communities. When one senior is scammed, it undermines confidence in financial institutions and erodes trust in digital systems we all depend on. This is why attorneys, law enforcement, and advocates are raising their voices louder than ever, urging vigilance at every turn. The bottom line is simple. If you receive an unexpected call, text, or email claiming your debit card has been declined or suspended, stop. Do not respond, do not click, and do not share any information. Independent verification is the only safe path. Contact your bank directly using the number printed on your card or from an official website. Criminals count on hesitation and confusion. Deny them that opening. It is not enough to read about these scams. You must act. Talk to your parents, grandparents, neighbors, and friends. Share this information widely. Each warning delivered could mean someone's savings preserved. The Federal Trade Commission and AARP Fraud Watch Network both stress that awareness is the first and strongest defense. Spread that awareness now before another victim is added to the statistics. The time for complacency is over. Seniors cannot afford to assume, it won't happen to me. The reality is that these criminals are hunting right now for their next victim. Do not let it be you or someone you love. Stay cautious, stay alert, and stay in control. And if you found this information useful, share it, because a single conversation could save thousands of dollars, or more importantly, protect someone's peace of mind. If you want to stay ahead of the latest scams targeting older Americans, don't face this threat alone. Subscribe to this channel. Every week we break down the newest schemes, the tactics criminals are using, and, most importantly, how you can protect yourself and your loved ones. Staying informed is not optional anymore. It's your strongest defense. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next warning could be the one that saves you from becoming the next victim.